Welcome to PowerUp podcast, the podcast that seeks to empower and dismantle, giving us the power and confidence to question, deconstruct, rebuild, and expand in life. I'm your host, AmaRouge, voiceover and multidisciplinary artist, well-being advocate, food and book geek with over 14 years of movement-centered experience.
I am your host, Mesma, artist, choreographer, yogi and coach with a passion for alchemy, creativity, transformation and workplace wellness.
We recognise that we can't dismantle and empower or be empowered without first learning ourselves, diving deeper to unlearn the harmful, restrictive and unprogressive. It's an ongoing practice and journey for us all, which is why we created this podcast.
Our show features guests doing the work to enlighten, deconstruct and power up in their own magical ways.
We're going to be having conversations around the power of healing, transformation, well-being and creativity, and how they feed our personal and collective evolution, how they help us power up.
You must know how much time you need alone and how much you need with others. You must know what inspires you and what drains you. You must know how to recharge, how to accept love, and how to give too. Know when to speak and when to listen. It's all about finding the balance. That beautiful quote is by Slyvester Mcnutt and has really got us thinking about our capacity to receive, to accept, and how we find balance. How do we recharge? And where do we get our energy? So over to you, Amma. How do you get energy? How do you recharge?
Mainly through solo time, for sure. Mainly through hanging out with myself and getting to do lots of things which allow me to go inward and geek out and basically be my own best friend and not spend time with anyone else. I absolutely love doing that. And I'm just laughing because on the flip side, I'm such a as people describe bubbly. I don't really like that description. I don't know why. Effervescent, I think, actually is more accurate, even though it's a similar word. I'm effervescent and I really love being around people and I really love being around my friends and people that move me and give me jokes and surround me with love. And I also love that, but I really also love being on my own, reading, practicing yoga, especially yin yoga. My life is full of so much yang. I'm really finding that in this season of my life overall, I'm starting to move more toward implementing more yin elements in my life and really desiring more yin to balance out yang, which has probably been the whole of my life up until now 36. So that's really interesting. And I like to do things like cook, but slow cook, actually when I have time to cook slowly and bake slowly and really get into what I'm doing and be mindfully present and enjoy all of the process. So I think I recharge most from solo time, journaling, moving my body, cooking slow. Practices that really nourish me and allow me to silence the outside noise.
So beautiful. And because I know you, I'm not surprised by your answer, but it's so true that to know Amma, I think most people would not imagine that that's how Amma gets their energy. But then to know Amma, I can 100% guarantee. And this art of slow, I feel like you're stepping into it more and more of really being present with everything you do. And if you've ever been cooked for by Amma, oh my gosh, it's like this just divine experience of the best cooking and the best conversation, and it does take hours and there's something so joyous in that experience. Yeah, I really miss your Rouge Does Food event. I can't wait for the next one because just so much joy. And so one of the things in Kundalini we often talk about is maybe there's an episode on this, but that you bless the food and that you put your love and your heart into the food as you cook. And I think that it's so, like, I can so see how you recharge as you have your connection with that vegetable or or that rice or that, yeah.
Yeah. Is that creating I think it's that creating a whole finished, beautiful meal from loads of different separate parts. I think that's the part of the process that is so simple, but it's also kind of like for me that you can create this amazing, finished, nourishing, like full of love meal. And it's come from all these separate parts and all these separate processes. And I just love it.
Yes, I am quite similar to you, Emma. I also get energy from being by myself. Um, and and it yeah, woo, to maybe introverts we'll talk about more later. Um, I always thought that I was an extrovert or that I kind of came alive around people, and I do totally. I do feel that people really animate me, but I recognize and again, like, I feel like there's these seasons of life that we go through and we're getting closer and closer to our true essence. But my true essence, or really having that ability to listen to what is my true essence, I need that time alone. I need that time to kind of check back in and go, actually, I'm not in balance. Sometimes I won't always be or won't be fully conscious and present with that when I'm with others, which is partly to do with being very naturally kind of in service and um, quite a giving. So I have to just kind of check in back in with me of like, what does my body need over that other person and what do I need? So I find that I like that balance of being with others, but also coming back to recharge. Like, I feel like I get energy from others. I get
Yeah,
inspired
same.
by being around people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is the absolute perfect word.
yeah.
Inspired and fulfilled. And
Mhm.
yeah,
I think time. There've been there've been very few kind of times in my life when I haven't been around people. One of them being a period of lockdown where I was on my own, and it was beautiful. It was the first time I'd ever really gone inside, like, come home to me.
yeah,
But at the same time, I also there was a point where I was like, "Now I just want human beings. I just want
yeah,
hugs and
yeah,
connection and joy." And, whilst the internet is a wonderful gift, um, there's something about real human contact that does. It's just such a joy, isn't it? So yeah, I
yeah.
would say I recharge on my own, but I get inspiration with others.
I love that. I love that. And it totally resonates with me. I'm still in that, if that's okay.
It's your gift. It's my gift to you, Amma.
This is so mushy and sweet. I can't even cope today. So, thinking about the fact that you recharge by a solo time, but draw inspiration from others, makes me feel that looking at the different personality types, you might resonate most strongly with Omnivert, which can be described as someone who is an introvert and extrovert, can be extremely introverted when presented with situations they don't want to be in or don't care about, but on the other hand, be the life of the party when they are enjoying themselves and want to be there. Both a very quiet, reserved person and also loud and outgoing.
Oh my God, that describes us both perfectly.
Doesn't it just? I
Yeah,
was
I
about to
at
say
first I
exactly the
thought
same thing.
so much. Yeah, and like I can go into, I can actually have kind of an identity crisis moment
Mm,
if I'm in a situation I don't want to be in.
yeah.
And people will be, "What's wrong with you? What's going on?" So I'm learning about that now.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to deal with that and recognize when that's coming up for me
That's
and be
great.
compassionate.
Yes,
Yeah.
Belle.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because there's also ambivert, which is someone who kind of falls directly in the middle. They're neither particularly extroverted or particularly introverted, and often people say they have the best of both worlds. But I think I'm more on the omnivert spectrum of I can be, sometimes I can be very loud
Hmm.
and love to dress up, to be flamboyant,
Yes.
to put on my samba costume, to
Yeah.
yeah, to show off, guys. it's such a joy to be able to recognize those moments
Yeah.
and be unapologetically
Yeah. Unapologetically you
extroverted.
and free and wild and just rah.
Mm, yeah. Which on that note, I just want to say as well that I love understanding our personalities, but I always say within that, I think we have the freedom not to define ourselves. And that's where I like the omnivert and the ambivert, because we're never just one thing. And we are, well, for both of us for sure, but I invite you as the listener that perhaps you are in a constant flow and we have seasons of our life, but also, throughout the day, we'll go through different emotions and different journeys. So maybe
That's it.
at some point you're a morning person, in the morning you're an extrovert, or maybe in the morning you're like, do not talk to me, having an introvert moment.
That's me. 100%.
Yeah.
Do not talk to me for the
I'd
first
say
20
that's where
minutes.
we're different. Yeah. I love the mornings.
Oh, I'm the
I
complete
can
opposite. It's so
get myself down
funny.
in the morning.
Yeah, I can't. And I used to be like that. And I don't know when in my life it shifted, but it was a very acute difference where I started to realize I needed to slowly emerge in the mornings. And my mind couldn't couldn't almost couldn't cope with being on straight away. It's like I needed this slow rising. Um,
Mm.
really interesting.
It is. And I've realized, like, the many times I've stayed at your house, um, I often, like, I will wake up quite early, but I will keep my eyes closed, and it's like I have a whole meditation in bed moment.
Yes.
So then by the time I'm like, "What's that? I've been up for hours." I'm
Yeah,
so
you're
ready.
super
And like
ready.
how yeah, and now I think our friendship, I feel like we really know each other, that it's like I know what to do if I'm staying at Amma's. I'm like, tiptoe out,
Yeah.
go find my little space,
Yeah, yeah,
go do my yoga.
exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, it's so, so true because I will wake up and be silent. And if I'm gonna practice, I will just roll onto my mat and I'm still in like all the layers, all the warmth. I need
Maybe with the
everything. Yeah, maybe with my dressing gown hood up. Yeah, exactly, or hoodie on. I still need to be in that really enclosed, kind of huggy space. And then when I've
it's kind of
finished,
making me
I'm
think
awake.
I always get images of animals, and it's kind of making me think of like a tortoise or something, just like hiding, like I'm not ready to come out into the world yet.
Yeah, exactly that. I love tortoises, by the way, as well. So that's I totally
Beautiful animals.
welcome that comparison.
Okay, so bringing it back, I was also thinking, like, in terms of our friendship and our relationship and how we can be compassionate, that I know that that's what Amma needs in the
Yeah,
morning, for
spot on.
example, and that perhaps by understanding the personality type. So we've mentioned introvert and extrovert, but just to kind of summarize the definitions of those. An extrovert is someone who recharges their energy from being around people, that doesn't mind being alone, but actually prefers the company of others and is kind of most animated
Mm,
in the company of others. So other people's in is really important to them. And then an introvert, I don't know if you want
sure,
to
yeah.
describe Amma.
Um, Also, though, can I just add to extrovert that just because they prefer the company of others, it's important to point out that it doesn't necessarily mean that they are like socially good with people or happy all of the time, which is, I think, quite a common misconception
Mm,
of extroverts. And an
mm,
introvert, right?
yeah, really.
And an
Hmm.
introvert would prefer to spend time alone in order to recharge their inner being. They may appear and come across as shy to others, but that's not necessarily an accurate label for them. That might not be the case. Um, Being among groups of friends, family, even strangers can be really stimulating and really joyful for them. Interacting with people and attention to multiple sources of stimuli tends to bring their energy down, which can cause them to withdraw and then need to spend time alone to re energize. And then also things like small talk and pointless conversations tend to drain an introvert's energy quite quickly.
So my offering is, how can we be compassionate, understanding those around us, those we're having relationships with? Particularly, I think that point you made, Amma, about the extrovert, that we can kind of just assume that that person is having it all and is happy all the time. But actually, if we can be compassionate with them and understand that they kind of need that connection, then maybe we can bring a bit more compassion to the situation. And likewise for those who are extroverted, and if you are around an introvert, how can you give them space? It kind of links quite well to looking at different relationship styles, how you have aloof people who can be aloof, and then often when you've got someone who's aloof, then the reaction of the other person will be to come and try and get the energy to be controlling or to kind of step into their space. So how can we be more compassionate and understand? We do come back to talking about those relationship styles in another episode, but I think understanding these personality styles, these personality types, can help us to just bring more compassion.
I 100% agree, Belle. And I think extending compassion to ourselves and to others really enables us to be more understanding and to move more from a place of love as often as possible.
Oh my God, sorry, I've just got to say, you just nailed that. I feel like I didn't highlight enough compassion for ourselves, that when we understand our behaviors, when we understand our needs, we can be so much more compassionate. And maybe it's, okay, you're really tired. You need to recharge on your own right now, and just taking yourself away from the situation. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that.
And that, I think, takes us really nicely into asking you, what do you need to recharge? How do you recharge? And specifically, what do you need to recharge in this moment in your life, in this season of your life? What do you need to feel nourished, secure, held? We will see you next week, beautiful people. Well, we won't see you. We all know the drill. You'll hear us and we'll connect with you, and we love you and you're awesome.
Yes, you are. We love you. See you next week. Thank you, Amma. It's been a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Belita. We love this. I love you. Wait for it. Here come the bloopers.
Woo, recording.
Formidable.
Formidable, formidable. Do you know that song?
No, it's a real song.
Tu étais formidable, j'étais formidable. It's a brilliant song. Can I play it for you?
Go on.
No, Ella. We need to
my mind was thinking.
Wait, are you saying we're recording now?
Yeah, we are. Been recorded.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you for listening. You can connect to us and our guests via the links in each episode's show notes. Before you go, we invite you to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the goodness to come. And if you enjoyed today, perhaps tell a friend to tell a friend. We are always grateful for you, our listeners, for our fabulous guests, and to everyone who has contributed to and been a part of our journey.
Our music is by Tomo Carter. Everything else is brought to you by us, the PowerUp Power Team.
I'm Mesma.
I am AmaRouge.
And we are PowerUp Podcast.